Okay, so welcome. Thanks for the audience to be here, to be interested of what we wanted to tell you in the next 2.5 hours. So please keep seated. No, it was only a joke. It will take probably 15 to 20 minutes, depends on how much Lucas will tell you. And as you can read here, we have the focus on the this year's ACHEMA here on sustainability. So that means we wanted to take you with us on the journey that we see within the end user and also in the OEM business dealing with sustainability. That means many of you in their private environment already know what sustainability means, but what we see now is that also in our industry, it's not only a written thing, so we see these sustainability strategies come up. So what we really see that people start thinking, that they start thinking about processes, especially for new plants that are coming up. And today we wanted to make a little deep dive in how can a valve manufacturer support and already take over responsibility for the green journey of our customers today. And I do the talk together with my colleague Lucas. So Lucas, just tell us something, few words about you, about Burkert, so that the audience knows who we are. And then we're going to start with the 3 points that we wanted to go along with our sustainability story.
Yeah, sure. My name is Lucas. I'm with Burkert since 2013 and currently in the role of Global Industry Manager for Pharma and Biotech. And part of this role is looking at the trends in the industry, the global trends, how is it changing? And one topic that since a couple of years cannot be ignored because it's too prominent all over the place is sustainability. What does that mean? We will explain in a couple of minutes. Just a few words for our guests here and for the audience, what Burkert is doing. So pharma is one of our core industries, and our ambition is to control everything around the critical processes and the utility processes in a pharmaceutical production, for example. That means, yes, we come from the valve manufacturing, but we go far beyond that. We really try and control everything that flows. That means apart from the valves, we have also instrumentation and also automation components along the processes and the utilities. What about you, Heiko?
So I'm within Burkert for 20 years now, starting or dealing with a lot of automation and explosion protection stuff. But today I'm responsible for the German sales team dealing with pharmaceutical industries for 2.5 years now. And this is why we are really in close contact with the subject. And as you can see, we both here, as we are standing here, we already have a certain sustainability within Burkert with more than 30 years of experience. And this is, well, the question is how we can get this sustainability also in our products and systems.
So to enlighten you a little bit in that, it actually goes beyond our products that we produce. We look at the entire sustainability topic from all angles. And that's not only the products we manufacture and the carbon footprint that we have in our facilities and with travel and everything, but it also has social components and of course also potentially an economical advancement that we look at. So we look at it holistically from all angles, and 3 important points we are working on particularly is 1, producing the corporate carbon footprint. That is, of course, kind of like the easiest thing about it. So here we have a dedicated timeline. So by 2030, the Burkert Global will be CO2 zero. We start in Germany and then expand it through our production facilities, but by 2030, all the subsidiaries at Burkert will be at net zero. So that is something that we will most likely achieve even earlier than that. But that's carved in stone, and that we will not talk about here today, because for the ACHEMA and also for our customers, I mean, probably the biggest gain that we can provide is actually by enabling you to optimize your production process. That's also, when you read the slogan here, we try and be a competent and consulting partner for sustainable process innovation. So that is the topic that we mainly focus on now, together again with the easier sounding, but in reality also very complex topic of product carbon footprint. So of course we also work on being able in the near future to provide you a dedicated number of product carbon footprint of our goods that we deliver to you. With that said, today we brought 3 examples on this process optimization. Second and third are a little bit overlapping, but the first one is like we are thinking at it, how can we actually design fluidic components in a way that the process is just becoming more efficient, less waste, less resource intake. So this is actually trying to drive an evolution in the fluidic design, not very simple in a rather sturdy environment like pharma and biopharma, but it's what's driving us. And we have one example on how we are trying to enable you to become more efficient. The second one is really our product features. So how can we design products in a way that they help to reduce the energy and the resource consumption in your production process. So this is more like established technologies, but enabling you to be more efficient. And we will focus on the valve part and the sensor part in this, but of course the topic of process automation is one of the most integral parts, how to process data better. That is something that we have not covered here because it goes too far and it's only a 15-minute talk, but everybody should afterwards take a round if you have not done it already, and then we can show you on our exhibits more details on that. And the third, like what I mentioned, is really the product carbon footprint, where we also brought an example. But let's talk about details of it. So starting with number 1. Heiko, can you give us a little bit of an insight on that?
I think you already gave some information. So what we focus on are these 3, let me say, sub-points from what Lucas already said. So the optimization of process and process design just simply means that we try to empower engineers to design completely new solutions to make their processes much smarter, smaller. That means we reduce also, the second point, we reduce the space requirements so that the machines, the manufacturing sites can get even smaller. We try to reduce service times due to the fact that we have designed components where you have only 15% of need of spare parts than you had in the past. So that means you have less spare parts needed, and if you need 50% less spare parts, you need 50% less service times. So this is just some of the arguments. And we also have it here on the booth as an example with our WFI loop, where we can show the interested guys afterwards what is really meant by that. So this is just to give you a short overview about how we do that.
Can you make it a little bit more tangible, more specific?
If you give me the next slide, yes. So this is just to give you a brief example of what we are doing. Within process engineering, everyone knows these single seat diaphragm valves. You have 4 pieces, you weld them together. It's big, it's a lot of valves needed. So the next step of evolution, this is what others also do. We put it together in a block. But what we have more or less with our Robolox solution is that we put 2 seats under one diaphragm, and this is where these 50% less spare parts come from. And we are able to reduce, as you can see here, the blue thing painted, we reduce up to nearly 60% the internal volume, so that means we have less waste afterwards in production. We are able to reduce the installation space up to 75%, which I already mentioned that the machines get much smaller. We have 50% less actuators, 100% less welds, like in a constellation of this, and we reduce maintenance time down to 50% if you change the spare parts or the diaphragms. So, but this is only the first part of the story. So, Lucas, second point.
Yeah, so that was example number 1. Now we move on to the example number 2. So how can we, in the established products like a diaphragm valve, a 2-way diaphragm valve, how can we enable you to process more efficiently? And one specific answer to that you see on that slide. Some more details are following in a minute, but just generally, what are basic enablers? So one is to really reduce the intake of stainless steel that you need, so less resource there. The second point is How can we maybe reduce the waste of resources, steam, water, cleaning agents? So how to achieve that? Reducing sterilization times, for example. What is an automatic output of that? Less thermal stress, longer lifetime of the equipment, for example, the diaphragms. Less steam, the longer they will last. But how can we achieve that? Our answer to that, it's actually a quite established technology, but now in the drive for sustainability, it really comes into a completely new aspect, and the industry is really picking up on it. What we call tube valve body. So the gold standard for the last decades was forged diaphragm valve bodies. Functionality-wise, same. But here you always have a lot of stainless steel that actually has no use coming from the production technology. So what we do with our hydroforming, we take a simple stainless steel tube, the exact tube that you use in your piping anyways, and just filling it with oil, putting it under a lot of pressure, and then we just press it into the shape of a diaphragm valve. The wetted part will be just a stainless steel tube, no added material whatsoever, and we just press it into the shape and weld the flange on top of it. Same functionality, much less stainless steel, leading to faster cooling and heating times. Therefore, you can potentially reduce, for example, the sterilization cycles in time.
Sounds perfect, Lucas. But this was only the valve part. I was promising you that we have a journey, so we will not only talk about valve technology. Do you have anything else?
I happen to do so, yes. So we're not only making valves, we're also making instruments. So pretty much a similar story we achieve with our flow wave. So a flow meter, again, with no pressure drop, just a stainless steel tube, very compact in size, very light in weight, compared to what the industry uses a lot, gigantic Coriolis devices with 50 kgs, hard to even get on the piping system, hard to implement, hard to hold the pipes on it. So FlowWave really enables you to reduce the space, reduce the installation efforts, mainly calibration of efforts, yes, because easier handling compared to a Coriolis, and yeah, just the numbers speak for themselves.
Okay, so last but not least, a really important point in the whole value chain, also on the customer side is, as Lucas already mentioned at the beginning, it's our third point, it's the CO2 footprint for products. So that means all you have seen before is much less raw material needed than we have it today with the today's standards. So it doesn't matter if it's the flow wave, if it's the Robulux valve, if it's the tube valve body. We try to reduce the need of raw material in manufacturing. So that means energy consumption during manufacturing on our side will go down because we have less machinery time, we have less stainless steel waste, we have less energy needed for mechanical manufacturing. If you think on that we said we save 60% of weight. If you transport 1,000 of these valves, you can just imagine what that means for the transportation. So we're talking about scope 3 now. And we need less spare parts on site, means that we have less waste in the end. Customers produce less waste. We have to produce less parts at the beginning of the life cycle. So this goes through the whole story. And this is how we try to really support our customers. And this is what it looks like if we really deep dive into figures. So it's not only theory, it's a proven reality that we are able to reduce the carbon footprint from this 20-year-old standard diaphragm valve technology with our tube valve body. We reduce the CO2 need that we need for manufacturing up to 60%. So, and this is just one part of the story that we wanted to share with you. And we kindly, more or less, invite you to go the story, the journey, the innovation along with us. So if not now, then when? And our motivation is your sustainable innovation. And with that slogan, I think we came to a quick end. We are absolutely in time, so perfect. And now if you want, just grab a cup of coffee, join us, give us your questions.
And of course, afterwards, feel free to walk the booth because the examples that we showed, the Robolux, the flow wave, and the tube valve body, just 5 meters away from you. So thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.